Free the chats. Let's go. Let's get it. Was that the soundboard?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, one and all, to the Couch Show.
Hey, welcome back.
Welcome to the channel, Sibling Rivalry. I'm Lynn.
I'm
That's
Ray. Welcome back to the channel on a Thursday. Let's go. Let's get it.
We just aim to be givers. We want to give you guys some love, show you guys some good vibes, and just really find strength through conversation.
Hells yeah. Let's get it.
It feels good, like updating the stuff in the background and like really bringing the channel together.
You know what's tomorrow?
Working on shorts. What's tomorrow? St. Patty's Day.
Hey, there you go. I think you were gonna get tripped up on that one, but she was like, ready to go. All right.
I was ready. And you know why I'm ready? Because I walked into a Panera today. I had Panera for lunch, and the lady had like her green on, and she had like the green clip in her hair. I was like, I see you rocking your green for St. Patty's.
So I think tomorrow, because I have my boys, so I think I'm gonna go over to Morristown, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because I told them, yeah, well, it is my spot, and I want them to see everybody come out all in the green and all that. But there's also the arcades over there. Yeah. I think they're open till like midnight, so they could go and they could play the arcades.
Ooh,
and then maybe I'll sneak over for a drink.
We went to the arcade that was in a bank. And
like they had like that's the one.
Oh yes, that's
so
awesome.
I'm throwing an open invitation if you want to come along. Maybe me and you can go grab a drink while the kids are playing in the bank.
Sounds nice.
But if you have plans, I get it. But I've been playing with this over here. Check it out. It's my soundboard. Could you hear it?
Yeah, that's gonna be an addition very soon here, guys. We're trying to just like set it up within our
platform. The whole soundboard and all
that stuff. We can
step up our game, man.
My son came home from school one day and said to me, "Look, Mum,
oh shoot, I went to YouTube to see how we're broadcasting, and I ended up pulling some random short, man. What's up with that random?
What other sounds do you have already?
Huh? What up, Fuzz? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for rocking us with the love. I'm just checking the audio.
The chat's back.
You do? You can see it now?
Yeah, I pulled it up.
Good, because I also, that's another reason why I got my iPad here ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yo, these chats, man, these chats stop all randomly and stuff.
Yep. I saw the last episode of Mando.
Did you?
That was yesterday. And it's funny because like they explain it. Like there's definitely a point where she gets to say like, yeah, he stepped into the waters and he just like fell in. So it wasn't that he was pulled down like I was thinking he was. Like he definitely stepped in and was like, oh shit, I didn't know the water was so deep.
She also didn't say what she saw down there. So
right.
I think that's gonna play in later. By the way,
didn't, but she does ask him, spoiler alert, she asked Mando, like, hey, did you see anything else down there? Did you see anything while you were down there?
Yeah, and I think she's going to use that against him.
There's that foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm. And she's going to use it against him.
No, you see, so I'm looking at it in a different way. I look at it in, you know how, like, she explains how, like, her family was supposed to be, like, the ones on top. Like, they were the ones kind of, like, ruling the Mandalorians.
Well, did you watch any of, like, anything else Star Wars related? Did you watch the Clone War cartoons?
Nope.
No. Oh man. I'm gonna put this out there. I'm gonna put this out there because I'm a big Star Wars nerd. For anybody who's been watching Mandalorian and you want some backstory to what's going on, watch the Clone Wars animated series. That's like the best Star Wars out there. I feel like it's even more better like the movies out there. Now, of course, the movies are classic, like the original, 4, 5, and 6 are classics. and they definitely capture an era of like, oh, exciting and imagination, thanks to George Lucas. But when it comes to taking the stories up to the next level, man, the Clone Wars was just on another level, and that's the reason why they brought back characters such as Ahsoka and Bo-Katan, and
Mhm.
I feel like there's going to be even more characters that's going to be introduced in the Mandalorian I grew I I started growing with them and getting this fond attachment to these characters, and now to see them in like live action, it's actually kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and it definitely, when the episode ends, since there's no like other episode, it shows you like your other options on like Disney
Hmm.
Plus. And so I saw like the Clone Wars and some of their other animated series, and my son had to comment because he's the one really who's been staying with it as a new generation. Like we introduced Star Wars to our children, and our children are running with it. So
Yeah,
he's the one. He's like, oh, like the movies, they don't really know how to make movies, but the animated
no,
series are really good.
yes, and I'm
So
glad he sees
I,
that. I'm so glad he sees that because you know what? It's hope. Listen, there's hope for the younger generation, and that all this programming, they're just not going to go gobble it all up. They're going to be like, no, I don't like this.
yeah.
And it's okay to say that I don't like it, but the thing that scares me right now, and this is what the whole big hoopla with is, with April and the Little Mermaid and the whole race swapping, is that they'll race swap the main character, right?
Mhm.
They won't put any effort into the writing, and then it's like me as a customer, I can't criticize because they're gonna call me a racist because of the race swap. So
Mhm.
like they instantly do that so they can have that like self defense and that protection from any kind of criticism. And it's like, nah, man, your stuff is trash. Get better.
Yeah.
Don't just do this just for woke points.
So I'm usually really good at like catching the foreshadowing and like predicting what's gonna happen. And so what I'm thinking is, how she like explains the story, how her family was able to win that title within the Mandalorians was by defeating this creature. So I'm thinking this is the creature. At some point we're gonna
Now I'm
see her
telling you, you got
and
there's a
she's getting
she her
crowned like
whole
queen of the
family has an arc.
Mandalorians.
Her whole family has an arc. Like her sister used to be the leader of Mandalore. And at the time, Obi-Wan was there, and they kind of had like a love interest. And there's a whole like story arc as far as like how she was challenging her sister, and then at some point something happens, and then they introduce another character that kind of takes over Mandalore, and there's definitely like a really huge arc. And I think there's a certain episodes you could watch because I did that with the kids instead of watching the whole thing. We went back and we just saw the episodes that were tied to Mandalore, so they can kind of get that refresher.
Mhm.
And so it was between Clone Wars as well as Star Wars Rebel, which is another cartoon. And they introduced certain characters that I heard that they're going to bring back with the Ahsoka Tano show, such as Sabine Wren and Ezra. They're bringing those characters back, and they're going to be real life, within the show. So if you want more of that background, especially with Bo Katan, because she has a whole story arc that was in the animated series that kind of like at one point she had the dark saber.
Right.
Yeah, and that's where it left off was she had it, and that's where the show hasn't cleared out yet is that
Mhm.
she had it and then she lost it, and we don't know how. So that's the show hasn't gotten to that yet, but I definitely encourage you and everybody else out there that if you're digging the Mandalorian, watch
Mhm.
those episodes because I feel like they're gonna build upon that, either this season or future seasons.
Hmm.
But she was bad at one point. Let me just put that out there. Bo-Katan
Okay.
wasn't bad, and so is she really redeemed? She have those tendencies? That's why I'm like, I don't know. I don't trust her. I think she's gonna go back. But she did have like a story
Mhm.
arc where she kind of redeemed herself. So I don't know if she's gonna go back or not. So
It's
I
funny
had that
that
hunch, but I don't
you
know.
were to bring that in here because during the episode there was like this whole segment about one of the doctors that was under what the hell's his name? The like main villain in Mandalorian.
Moss Gideon.
Yes, yes. So there's like this whole scene, and they're introducing new characters and just showing their story. How one of the doctors,
Hmm.
they're trying to figure out if he's really redeemed or if he, still has his heart set on that dark side. So
So
we'll
it's
see.
funny too because this episode it's very decisive with the whole community as far as there's two camps, right? There's the camp that loves Star Wars, and I'm in that camp where they say the sequel trilogy is garbage, right?
Mhm.
And unfortunately, it seems like they're going to tie the Mandalorian back to that. And that's what this episode was with that doctor and the whole cloning stuff, because
Mhm.
that was what was in episode 9, where they were like, this, Palpatine came back because they cloned him, right?
Right.
So, but a lot of people, a lot of like diehard Star Wars fans, like, no, don't try to tie back. No, don't do that. Let's stick to the Mandalorian stuff. So this
Mhm.
episode, the overall, I was okay with it. My fear is that they're gonna bring that garbage in, and I'm like, no, if you bring that garbage in, I'm checking out. You lost me at that. I'm done.
All
Bring
right.
me
Well,
back more of like the continuation of the animation. Bring me more of like the Star Wars Unknown, because that's a lot of stuff. Like they introduced Ahsoka, which was like a Jedi who left the schooling, and just that journey. Even Bo Katan, like in the animation, they brought, that was the first time we got to see Mandalore. Bring that back. Let's explore that more in the Mandalorian. Do not go back to the sequels 7, 8, and 9, because that's
mhm.
just you go there. I'm done. I'm checking out. I'm like, nah, you lost me with those movies, and if anything tied to that, I'm out.
Mhm. Fuzz in the comments. So Fuzz is asking, was the show traumatic for the guest last week?
Yeah, how was that drive home?
No, you know what? It was a show and that was it. When you have friends, you're able to have those kind of conversations, that Discord, and 10 minutes later, that's it. Conversation's over. We're talking about the next thing. So we went on to have a great evening. The other guest who didn't pop on was doing some jabs. He ended up ordering pizza. He was like, so yeah, ladies, you should just thank me. You're welcome, ladies, for providing the food. I was like, oh, I see where you stand as far as men and women and their roles.
But in the same sense, though, the guest wasn't so polarized. Like, she was kind of in the middle, and she was able to listen and come to. I have friends who are super polarized, and like it, I have to say, it kind of tarnished our friendship. There's
Hmm.
only certain things that I could deal with them, because I know that if we talk about anything else, excuse me, um, it's just going to go into a heated debate and argument.
Yeah, a lot of people take conversations very personally. They get
They
defensive,
do.
and they feel
Hmm.
like if you don't think the same way they do, then there's an issue.
Right.
When it's not like that. When you're friends with someone, who cares if you guys don't agree on everything?
Right.
It's
Right. Right.
impossible to think that you're gonna completely agree with somebody all the time. So yeah, that's definitely a sign of a good friend if you can have those conversations and get past it and not feel like, oh well, I didn't like your point you made, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Bring up Fuzz's comment right here. He said, "Did you guys see Whoopi Goldberg was called a racist for using the word gypped?" I didn't
Mhm.
even know that. Is that like a reference to a gypsy? And like
No,
that's
so I pulled it
insulting?
up here, and I guess so. I'm just going to read this headline right here. It says Whoopi Goldberg tapes video apology for saying "gypped" on The View. I'm really sorry. So I'm thinking, we would have to see in what context she used the word "gypped," but it's just slang. I don't say the word with the wrong gypped. Like oh, I felt gypped because I felt gypped when they went to the movies without me after it was my idea, kind of thing. Or
Hmm.
just any just in plain conversation, just everyday language. That's definitely a word that would pop out. So I don't understand why that would be considered racist.
Yeah, it's just slang. But at this point, once again, people are so outraged for anything. There is a business and a profession right now in being outraged. And at
Mhm.
some point, once you underline everything else, what are you going to do? So now it's going to be everything. And this is why, like, we have to talk about politics, because politics is becoming our culture.
Mhm.
It's becoming our culture. It's part of our subculture now. And it's crazy that we're letting it get this bad. Like, if I was Whoopi Goldberg, I would have not apologized.
Oh my
I
God.
mean,
Wait a minute. So now I'm reading over here. It says The View co host Whoopi used the term gypped, a slur for gypsies, while discussing
mhm.
former President Donald Trump. So that's not even the way I would have interpreted gypped. So I really don't know what she said. The damn internet.
No, like I thought it's like, when somebody's like, well, oh, why did you jip me?
I feel ripped
Which is
off.
mean
Yeah,
you
I feel
short
like
you
I
short
got the short end
you
of the stick.
shortchanged me, you ripped me off, right?
Right.
But I'm guessing that gypped is a slang for gypsy. And so
Huh.
it's derogatory towards gypsies. But then I'm like, but
Well, she was
gypsies is not really a race or anything. That's just a group of people, right? So I don't know. To me, it's we're in the age of the outrage,
all right.
and I
So it looks
think
like this is how she used it. She said the people who still believe that he got gypped somehow in the election, yada yada yada.
there's nothing wrong with saying that. To me, that's
Right.
just normal American slang.
Hmm.
So are we gonna stop saying like I don't know? I want to grab a Coke because it's a reference to a drug and a narcotic, and also back in the day they used to have that narcotic in the drink.
Not only
Can
is
we
it a
not say
reference,
Coke anymore?
but I don't know if I'm the only one, but 9 times out of 10, when I say that to a friend, like we both giggle about it because we know it sounds like, hey, I'm asking for some drugs, you know?
Right. So are we gonna stop saying that, even though it's American slang?
Mm.
Like, are we gonna stop saying, I know down south, there was always a debate when I was in the Marines where it was like, do you say soda, Coke, or pop, right? And I know
Hmm.
down south they call it a pop. Are we gonna say no because a pop could be a reference to I'm gonna pop you inside your head or pop, 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 or something like that? Like, are we not gonna? Oh, violence! You're condoning violence if you say I want to drink a
I was
pop.
thinking more so like, oh, somebody's gonna get offended because it sounds like you're talking to an old dude calling him Pop.
Well, no, there's ageism is okay. Apparently, ageism is okay, but everything else, like, and it's crazy because, like, I've been fasting lately. I got the Fast app, and I've been going to the
Hmm.
gym with my oldest. Started lifting again, and I'm really trying to do the things because I'm a big dude. I've been struggling with my weight all my life, and I don't like it. Me personally, I don't like it because I know my health. It's just me being consistent with this is just drawing, additional resources, right? It's putting strain on my heart and all this stuff. So um, there's no body positivity whatsoever over here. I'm glad that, I'm a social outcast, right?
Yeah.
I'm okay with that because that means I have to get better. But there's this whole thing where the Oscars, right? The Oscars just went by, and Brendan Fraser. You remember Brendan Fraser, right, from the Mummies and all the different movies from back in the day. He got
Same.
he went through a really bad. You could pull him up, Brendan Fraser, pull him up.
All right.
Well, anyway, he went through a really bad divorce, kind of fell off the scene, and he gained a lot of weight,
Mhm.
like unhealthy, like a lot of weight from who he used to be, right?
Oh yeah, this dude.
And he recently won he won the Oscar for best actor in a movie, right? And
Hmm.
he won it in
For
the
you?
movie. It's called The Whale, and he had a fat suit on, right?
Hmm.
And Dove, and there's like a big outrage for the fact that he got that Oscar. Dove is like, oh, let's stop giving out Oscars for fat suits, right?
Hmm.
And it was funny because somebody commented on that, and they said, well, um, maybe they used a fat suit because having a 6,000, or no, they were like having a 600-pound actor on set is unhealthy. He may not even survive the filming of the movie,
Mm.
and that's true. Like I'm like, yo, that is true. Like there,
Yeah.
maybe yeah, there's some humor in that, but that's unhealthy. And especially Dolph. Dolph is the big one with promoting, females being really big, and I'm
Hmm.
like, that's not healthy. I don't know why we're going away from shaming, right? And one of the comments that we got from the last video we did was, "Hey, this was a great show. It was a great guest, but Fuzz, he put the comment, and I totally, I heard you, and hopefully maybe this episode we could talk about stuff like that. But he's like, what's the answer? Like you
Mm.
say, this is the problem, but
Right.
what is your answer to this? And honestly, the answer to a lot of the problems that we talk about on this show is just go back the way we used to be and shame people. I hate to
Hmm.
say it, but we gotta start shaming people again. Like we gotta have a social standard and let people know that you do not meet that social standard.
Mm.
Like your weight and your appearance, there should be a social standard with that.
Right.
Your body count and you're out there, hoeing it, be it a male or female, there should be a social standard with that.
And
Like
it
I'm
sucks
not
'cause a
impressed
lot
when a guy
of
tells me, he slept with 150 women. Because
mhm.
I'm like, okay, what did you learn from that, my guy? And you did all that, but did you focus on yourself? Right? Do you have your money together, right? Do you have, your castle together? Like, what are you doing with yourself?
Mhm.
Like, you're just chasing out here. You're just a little boy chasing.
Right. A lot of the standards we used to have, the critics out here are really getting on them, because you think about like the seven deadly sins, and then you
Hmm.
start talking about religion and holding yourself to those standards, and it sucks that we can't create standards in a way without having to push religion into it. And even though I
Hmm.
understand like that fine line between, having those standards and, religion, and how religion helps you like kind of like walk the right path. The people out here who are criticizing them because of that, like they have no leg to stand on, because at the end of the day, what you're talking about is gluttony, it's lust, it's
Hmm.
overindulging. It's okay to have a little bit of fun, but you're
And
overindulging, and that's where those standards need to be kind of like set in stone. Just do
and it's
better.
funny that you said that, because I try not to go down that road, because I know I have my, within the last few years I've had my spiritual awakening, right? And
Mhm.
so I see signs everywhere. And it's sad that we're a society that lacks religion, right? But yet the devil's still there. And everything you see. Like, there's literally the devil performance at the Grammys, right? That everybody
Mhm.
had a big kerfuffle about. And I was like, of course, because look at how our society is. And as much as we don't want to talk about religion, we're doing everything that the devil wants us to do, right?
Right.
We are living our lives in so much sin that it's crazy. And like I said, I don't want to get religious, but I think it's ironic that all the signs are still there,
Mhm.
and religion may not be there, but Satanism is still there. And that's why we're doing all this stuff with children. That's why there's so much cult stuff. That's why, Epstein Island. That's why shit. Well, who was that artist that had blood in the shoes? And he was selling shoes.
Oh,
Little
yeah.
Nas X, right?
Yeah.
And he had the blood in the shoes, the
Mhm.
symbolism of just debauchery everywhere, right? And once again at the Grammys, and it's like, so you could say, oh, I don't want religion, but Satanism is everywhere.
Right. Right. That Christ is okay. That we can
So
embrace.
yeah, and that's
Right.
everywhere.
Mhm.
And if you ask
It's
yourself,
chaos. It's chaos that we're embracing.
yes. And if you ask yourself, why you're doing everything that society told you to do, yet you still feel unhappy, which that's
Mhm.
the key thing. And I said we need to do a show on just happiness. If you're asking yourself why you're unhappy, maybe it's because you don't know what it is that you have. And maybe that's where you got to start getting that gratitude and start realizing. And that's when, once you get that spiritual awakening, that there's something more to this life than just chasing after, be it, sex,
It's more than
money,
greed. There's more to life.
materialistic bullshit. There's more to
Mhm.
life. That's when you realize that you have more to live for. And then I'll even add, once you have that awakening, that's where you have more appreciation to family, friends, the people in your life, the people who are mean more to you. And then of course that's where you're going to want to chase after having kids, having a wife, having kids, having a husband, having kids. And it's like we've lost that in society.
Yeah. Fuss says the answer is two-parent homes and no more no-fault divorces.
Hmm. I would take it one step further, and this is what I've seen lately, because we're gonna talk about Tradwives. That's a trend
Mhm.
that's been trending on TikTok. I saw it trending on Twitter. Um, but another trend that I saw, and this first, it came from guys talking about it, but then I started saw females started talking about it, and I was like, oh man, it's like for men, when moving forward, when it comes to relationship, marriage is dead. You can't think about marriage anymore. You got to protect yourselves. The court is one sided. It's in favor for women, right? It's you're gonna get divorce rate, through divorce. You're gonna get hosed through child custody. The thing to do is build your kingdom, have your home, have your house. Go reach that goal of your house, your car, and all of that, and then introduce her into that, so that she knows that when she leaves, this was here when you were here, and this is
Mhm.
gonna be here when you're gone.
And that's an excellent point. As a female, I feel as though I've in past relationships, that's what I do. I've created my home. I have that stability, and I introduce, a man into my home with the expectation that he's gonna lead and he's gonna like bring us to the next level. But
Right.
um like hearing it that way, like hearing it in a way where like yes, the woman's introduced into the home. For me personally, I feel like that would be a completely different relationship.
What do you mean?
Um, because being the one that already has that structure, already has that stability, and bringing a man into that, at that point, I'm already in the mentality of competing. I'm already in the mentality of, hey, I've got my own. What are you bringing to the table? Versus the man being the one in that position.
Mm,
So it's hard to raise children when, um, you don't really have that established relationship with your partner first. Like it's hard to, um, fall into the position of allowing somebody else to lead when I look at my situation and I can see I've already I created this for us. So what is it? How are you going to elevate us? As a man,
right.
as a man coming into the home, I want to ask him, like, what are you bringing to the table? How can
Mhm.
you enhance what I already have, or how can we build towards something else together?
And that's the thing, like what you said, like a lot of women these days, they could do everything, right? They
Hmm.
take care of the home, they're working, so they're asking themselves, why do I want a man? And that's the thing, that's the feminist lie. Feminism told women that they could do everything, and they could do it,
Hmm.
but there's still an emptiness inside.
Right.
And that's where the Tradwives are coming in saying, yeah, yeah, I could do all that, but I don't want that. I
Hmm.
want to work with men because that's where my happiness is going to be when I have a home that is not me by myself that's taking care of it. There's another adult there that's my my mate, right? And um, it's that whole balance, right? Instead of me working against you, we're working together.
Right.
So I get it. I get it.
It's something that I've had conversations with girlfriends about before, that being so independent and having already established that stability,
Hmm.
it is difficult to let just any man into that relationship and create a
Hmm.
relationship with just any man. And what we found from that conversation is that we just need to have higher standards,
Right.
at least match my badass. At least bring to the table what I'm
I
bringing to the table.
listen. I say it all the time. I'm like, fellas, if you're out here dating and you're chasing after women, but your pocket's not right, you're
Mhm.
doing something wrong. Like, focus
But
on
it
yourself.
sucks. It sucks because
Jordan Peterson said that. Andrew Tate said that. And mind you, both of these gentlemen, they're getting attacked because they're just promoting men to better themselves. They're talking
mhm,
about masculinity. They're saying, men, guys, if you don't like your life, change it. If you
mhm,
wake up and you don't like your like you're bitching about it and your room's a mess, right? That's the biggest one. And everybody's like, clean your room. It was hilarious. But what he was like, it's like, clean your life. He was being symbolic with that one. He was like, yo, clean your life. Where do you start? You start here. You reflect here. Make sure you got that good job. Make sure you got that good paper. Make sure that you could take care of yourself, and you're doing that in the back of your hand before you want to go and start having a wife and kids.
mhm.
Be about you, and that's what that's the biggest thing I can stress out here to anyone is be about yourself first. You got to find that self love first before you jump into a relationship, and then that's how you can weed out the bad ones.
It's thanks to that, the way our education system is set up, as far as like what we learn about finances, we don't learn much about finances. We don't learn much
Mm-mm.
about handling money. Like, we're so ingrained in this society where it's like, oh, you have to make more and more and more money. What do you do once you start making more and more money? So for the men out here who maybe they do have a better income, maybe they do have some kind of stability, but they're not in the mentality of, hey, let me grow this. Let me make sure I'm putting money aside. Let me make sure that I am saving and I am investing and I am creating that stability for me long term.
Mm-hmm.
It's a disservice to them also. It's a disservice to both sexes, because how are women supposed to find good men if good men aren't being raised?
Right. Same thing too. There's a lot of guys out here who's like, I got everything together, and it's like I can't find a good woman because
Hmm.
good women are not being raised either. It's our mindset. It's society overall, and it's like we got to start changing that. And once again, it goes back to that whole shaming tactics. Being shamed and not you're being shamed for wanting to indulge yourself all the time. That's not healthy. Be it
Hmm.
if you're being shamed because you're overweight. Why? Because you're indulging yourself with food, right? It's the same thing with if you're a hoe, like you should be shamed because you're indulging yourself with the company of other people, right?
Mhm.
So it's the same thing. Indulgence, it's not okay. It's not okay. There's a problem there with indulgence. And what the problem is that, you just like any addiction, right? It takes over your life. And where you got to find your purpose. You got to find your purpose and you got to find your balance and you got to find where you're moving forward. Because my motto is what? Every day you're here, you got to be better than what you were yesterday, right? Or at
Mhm.
least making strides for that. At least have it in the back of your head that that's something that you want to change. There's something you want to fix. There's something you want to, remediate, right?
And that brings me back to a point you made earlier when you said, you and your oldest, you guys have been hitting the gym together and you're fostering that. And even though, like, for you, you feel like, oh, it's because, like, you are a bigger man, a bigger person. It's like that act of teaching your children to be active, to care about their health, that's something that everyone needs to do, regardless of whether, you're fat, you're skinny, you're whatever. Our bodies need that exercise. And we need to learn at an early age that that's something that you have to maintain throughout your life. It's not just like, hey, when you're done with school, you don't have gym class anymore. You don't have to worry about working out no more because that's not true. These
No.
habits that our children are supposed to be learning in school. There's a disconnect
Hmm.
somewhere because
There
most
is
of
a
us,
disconnect.
we finish school and we forget about the gym. It's like, gym, what do you mean? When we're used to going to the gym 2-3 times a week.
Hmm. I mean, there's a lot of things that me personally, I'm trying to change. Like we got the food box that's coming in, and we're starting to eat more at home.
Hmm.
Right, my youngest told me he wanted to cook, so I was like, all right, let's start cooking. You know, Today we went for a walk. It was a beautiful day. The weather's out. It's like 55 degrees, and it's a break from the cold. So we were like, yo, let's go walking. So they went. I went for a walk. They went with their skateboards, and they're doing their activities. And I'm like trying to instill in them, especially with camping in the summer, is to be out there in nature.
Hmm.
Even if it's just walking, at least you're walking. At least you're active, right? We're meant to be nomadic, right? You know, so it's like I want the kids to be like that, nomadic, and be out there and be on the move.
So with this Tradwife topic, we do have a video to pull up. And we'll pull it up here. And I'm gonna kind of fast forward though towards the end where she kind of goes in.
By the way, ladies, I hate to tell you this, but feminism kills your soul. I gotta stress that big time. And if you don't believe me, start Googling feminism, feminists, pull up photos of feminists and look at them. For example, um, who's the famous MSNBC anchor that's a female that she's always talking about? Um, you can look at like high school photos of her and how just like full of life she was, and then you look at her today, and it's just like I don't know this hatred and toxicness of just because the bottom line, let's call it for what it is. Feminism, feminists, they hate men, right? They hate men, and
Mhm.
just this constant hatred and this constant victim narrative, it's draining. It drains the soul out of you. So if you don't believe me, start googling it. Start googling and see how. Look at her face. Look at her face and tell
Why are we
me,
looking at her face? What's up with her face?
do you see life and a glow in her? Like
Mm,
I don't see that. I don't see it. I see this glow in you, Lynn. Like I'm looking at you right above me. I know the lighting's not all that, but I see the glow. But
right.
I don't see the glow in her. And like she almost has like a void in her. Like I see the black hole in her, and I'm like if I went out and she's out in the bar, why would I want to approach that? Right? Why would I want to talk to her? She looks like she's gonna tear my head off. Right? Once again, we're meant to complement each other. We're not meant to compete with each other. We're not meant to be, argumentative with each other. And that to me, she just has a big like big stop, like stop, do not enter sign on her, right?
Mhm. All right, so I'm gonna press play and we're gonna let it play for a couple seconds just so you can get a feel for her side.
people feel dissatisfied, intensely so, with the status quo. There is a longing for care, for order, for security and certainty. And the fantasy being sold by Tradwives is that all those things are in reach for women. If only we give up our autonomy and return to the gender roles of an imagined and idealized past. And that's the thing. The lifestyle being sold is a fantasy. It's fictitious. As my colleague Moya Lothian McLean has.
And I want to pause it there because one of the points that she makes on this video is like, you know, like that the women who are portraying or just the women who want to be at home and they want to, you know, be the homemaker and take care of their house and take care of the children. She says it's you know, it's the soft life, which is what's portrayed in Instagram and, you know, in the media today. And like me as a woman, I absolutely want the soft life, and it's not make believe. You know, it's not out of reach, because if I am home and I'm preparing meals and, you know, grocery shopping and cooking, rather than us, you know, spending all of his finances, all of his resources on fast food every night, you know, there's
Mm-hmm.
savings right there. If I'm sitting here at home and doing things at home rather than outsourcing and having to pay other people to do these things, pay for childcare, then
Right.
that dream is a little bit closer. You know, a man can sustain a house. He can sustain an apartment. And if you come into, like you said, into his kingdom and, you know, you do your part, then, you know, the finances are available for other things. And, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it sucks. You know, having to rely on a man, if you choose the wrong man, he is going to be controlling. He is going to be like, oh, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. But if you know, choose the right partner, it absolutely is possible. And it's absolutely something that I encourage women and I want for myself.
I don't know what's so bad about the easy life. And this is once again the feminist lie. Um, Work sucks. I don't care who you are. You could be the alien, the chimichanga race or whatever, and your work sucks. As a worker bee, it sucks. Look at what the elites do. The elites with the money, they're out there, they're vacationing, they're living life. Their life is just catered to, right? They're not putting in work because work freaking sucks. I don't know why we have this thing where we're pushing to a two parents out here working, right? Two income society because we're
Household.
constantly chasing after materialistic junk, right?
Mhm.
No matter what you are, look, listen, you could be the boss babe, you're working, you're CEO or whatever, but at the end of the day, do you really need another car? Do you need that luxury apartment? Do you want the latest iPhone or whatever? And then you're gonna look around and ain't nobody around there.
Right.
Like listen, the last thing the last thing I could wish on anybody, right? I don't have any enemies. I was always wish well to everybody. You know, my exes. Anytime they pop in my head, I pray for their happiness, right? Um, the one thing that I would wish on everyone on this planet is that they don't die alone.
Mm.
That's the worst thing you could possibly have.
Yeah.
And this lie is telling you that you don't need anybody. You could do everything on your own. And the next thing you know, you're 40, 50 years old. Nobody wants you, right? Nobody wants to date you. And you're going down to your golden years and you could possibly die alone. You didn't have kids. You don't have a husband, right? Like, why would you want that? Like, that to me is just scary as all hell.
Hmm.
Listen, I'm having fun now. I like being single, but I also got kids that I know that are going to be there, hopefully, right? When it's my time to go.
Right.
Or even if they're not there, at least I have that connection that on my last dying day, I could be delirious and think that I saw them. It could be the nurse or whatever. It could be some random dude, but my senile mind is going to be like, my
My
kid, your
boys.
kid saw me. Right, right. If you never had that, well, what makes you think you're going to be able to see that? What are you going to
Right.
see? Your cat? I
So
don't
don't knock
understand
the
that.
cats, okay? Look, I'm rocking my cat necklace today. My little meow, my little kitty kitty. I'm a kitty kitty kitty. I'm a cat.
I
Little
swear.
Fortnite humor from y'all.
I
So
think you
that's
need to be a cat for Halloween.
scratched.
That's your next
I
Halloween costume.
love the idea of being a cat for Halloween. I just think that's so damn cute. Maybe because you know I always saw like the ads for cats on Broadway. I don't know. I
Hmm.
just think it's super cute, super
Oh,
sexy.
Cats on Broadway is
Cat
dope. Don't
is
get me
a
wrong.
great costume.
That was my first Broadway show, and I think I remember to this day. Like that was a great show.
Hmm.
Not the movie, of course. The movie was garbage, but the show was pretty cool. But yeah, it's
The
like
elites create fake emergencies to take your money and put your money in their pockets, right? The elites
I
have
totally
found,
agree.
they found that way to make money work for them and make the money that they make off of that money work for them.
Hmm.
And it's something that we're not taught when we're young. But we
However,
need to do.
on that comment, what I would suggest to everybody out here is, with all these banks collapsing and who knows what's going on, I would tell you guys to start looking at a credit union and
Mhm.
possibly start switching from a bank to a credit union. That's just my suggestion. Take it for what it is,
I did that
but
years ago. And you have to take the good with the bad, like being with a
mhm,
credit union like I am now. One of the things I miss the most is mobile check deposits. Like my bank doesn't
mhm.
offer that. I was a little spoiled with one of the bigger ones.
Really, I have that in my I have like one bank and two credit unions. But I
Okay.
listen. I
So
gotta
shop
practice
around,
what I
see what they
preach.
offer.
Yeah, I gotta practice what I preach too, because I
Mhm,
have the credit unions, but I use them more for like loans because they
mhm,
have lower rates for their loans. But one of the biggest banks, the bank that I'm getting my direct deposit and my money is in USAA, and that's a
mhm.
bank. So I have to switch out of USAA and possibly go either to Penn Fed or Navy Fed, or one of them, because right now it's uncertain times, and I rather um, be safer. I don't know if it's ultimately safe because they have their problems too.
Mhm.
But me moving forward, I think I'm going to start. I'm going to go with a credit union. But yeah, so going back to the whole trad wives and the whole, because it is trending on TikTok. There's people
Mhm.
watching, and the crazy part about it is that these ladies are both that boss babe that you're talking about, right? And they're still a traditional wife because they're at home, right? They're being that traditional role, and they said, you know what? I'm going to talk about this on TikTok. And since there's such a thirst and drive for this content,
Mhm.
they're making a ton of money on TikTok posting these
Right.
videos. And I see ladies like the one that you pulled up in the video, and I'm like, I feel like you're just salty right now. You're salty
Mhm.
because she has both. And you
Right.
ain't got
That's
nothing.
the soft life.
Yeah,
Hashtag
she got.
uh what is it? Life goals. Hashtag life goals.
Hmm. And she got them all. She got
Mhm.
the good husband. She probably got abundance of love from her kids,
Mhm.
and she's still a boss baby because she put it on TikTok. She put it out
Right.
there. So, do I trust these women, these trad wives? I don't know. I feel like, once again, I mean, I have trust issue when it comes to women. You guys definitely know how to manipulate very well.
Mhm.
So when I see something like this, I call them a chameleon. I'm like, they see a trend and they know how to, like, um, you know, their colors change to it because
Mhm.
they want to make that money. For example, on YouTube, there's a female, I told you about her.
Mhm.
I think her name is Pearly Things, right? And
Yep.
she's talking about the whole dating scene and how, but she's a woman and she goes against women, right? And her channel blew up. Like, we were looking at the stats. I think within 3 months, she went from having no subs to 1 million subs because she's talking about what people want to hear.
Mhm.
Not real people, because women, of course, women are always going to go against all this. But this is what the men want to hear, and so she's making that money off of the men. And so, do I trust her? I mean, I respect the hustle, but I don't know if I could trust her. I don't know. It's, once again, feminism is so toxic that when ladies come out and they start talking about this, I don't trust them. I feel like that's a chameleon.
Yeah. And you can kind of see it in the names of like her shorts down here. So social media belongs to women. She just
Hmm.
exposed modern women. If you're fat, you're fat. Fat woman's falsities get debunked. So just an idea.
Hmm. But like I said, I get it. I get the whole Tradwives thing because we were talking about this, and it was unfortunate that your guest on the last episode didn't come on, because you said that he was more into that whole, you know, the way he was raised. He was more into those traditional roles.
Right.
And like I said, once again, ladies, you're out here raising your boys to be gentlemen, right?
Hmm.
And believe in those traditional roles. But who are they dating?
Mhm.
What's option? What's the options for them out here? Modern women. So if there's listen, if you're looking at modern women, men got to be modern men.
Mhm.
And I hate to say it, but modern men is the guy who's just going to keep tasting all the candy in the candy store, but not want to buy anything. You know, the modern man has to be the guy who walks into Costco's and is like, let me have this sample, let me have that sample, let me have that sample, and then we'll walk right out the door.
Yeah.
But ladies, that's on you too because you're giving it out that easy.
Right. And I mean, a
So
good, connection I want to make right now is, as women who are my age and maybe a little younger or maybe even a little older, um, our like role models were our moms, our aunts,
mhm.
the generation before us. And unfortunately, the generation before us is where the families kind of started getting ripped apart. There was
Yeah.
mass incarceration, there was
Hmm.
this whole women's rights movement and everything showing that,
Hmm.
like, ladies, we can do it all, we can have it all and do it all. But ultimately, who wants to do it all? And who
And
wants to live life
it's
alone?
funny you say that. It's funny that you say that because as soon as you said it, I started thinking about our family, and you're right. Our mom, our aunts, they were all single mothers, right?
Single moms.
We were all raised in broken homes, right?
Mhm,
Multiple, males coming in. Be it, with us, lucky for us, all I had was my stepdad, which was your dad,
mhm,
but you know, looking at my aunt, there was always somebody there, and I see why my cousins are the way they are.
mhm,
And it's like, no offense to them or anything, but you're right. That's where the structure started breaking. And it's weird because as much as people want to talk bad about the 1950s, right? When you look at the show like Leave It to Beaver and all these shows, like even
mhm.
even even shows like the Brady Bunch and stuff like that, it's almost like I want to go back to that
Right.
because what worries did they have, right? You want to be like, oh, that guy was a chauvinistic pig or whatever, but do you really think he treated her that bad?
Mhm,
I don't think so because one, her life was easy because she didn't have to worry about working, and his life was easy because it was nice to come home to a nice warm meal.
yeah. A
It was
warm
a
meal and
bond. They were working
there's somebody
together.
there to greet you when you come in the door.
Right, right. And now on both ends, yeah, you could do it all, like you said, but who's greeting you at the door on both
Mhm,
ends? Men are coming home and there's nobody there, and ladies are coming home and there's nobody there.
mhm,
And that's sad. That's tragedy. That's a tragedy. We need to learn to work together. We need to learn to work together. And I think that was in the comments because the post I actually sent you, I know you went into the video, but there was
mhm.
another guy who kind of went through it, and I wanted to read his breakdown of it because it was just clear as day. I was like, man, this is what I've been saying. It's what I've been saying, and it's good to see that, be it on Twitter or YouTube or whatever, like there's a lot of more of these voices that are popping up that's going against the status quo. And we
Mhm.
need that. We need more of that. And that's how we fix all of this is by saying, you know what? No, I'm not gonna apologize for what I believe in. I'm not gonna apologize because I shamed you. I'm not gonna do any of that. Like that's what I told you. Like Whoopi Goldberg, as much as I don't like Whoopi Goldberg, she's been on The View and she says some like terrible things, her saying gypped is not the one that I'm going to stand on. That's not the sword I'm going to fall on.
Right. At that
Now,
point, you're
some of her
reaching.
lefty,
You're reaching.
yeah, her other lefty ideology, yeah, I'll go and I'll be like, oh, I'll be loud about that. But her saying gypped, no, no, I'm sorry, that's modern day slang. I don't know why you're getting mad for modern day slang. But once
Mhm.
again, this is the outraged society we're in.
All right. I
Can you
pulled up.
zoom in? I can't
You,
see anything.
you can't see. Shit, I don't know how to
Then
zoom in.
again, I'm also looking at a really screen on my phone.
Oh shit, that worked. I don't know. It was like fascinating to me how I
Hey!
actually know all these like tech shortcuts and I like second guess myself. I sure can zoom
All
in.
right, so while you read this, I'm gonna mute my mic because I'm gonna eat some bread.
Oh, I'm reading this whole thing. Again, I like reading. All right, this is a fascinating video, and this is the video that I had pulled up earlier, where she was just showing the trends on Instagram right now with these Tradwives, traditional wives. So there's a fascinating video. Sakara is recycling 2015 era feminist talking points and attempting to render the enjoyment that many women get from being a traditional housewife as some kind of evil trap. Sakar's entire position is pervaded by a quiet desperation that women are peeling away from feminism's corporate drone future and trying to morally whip them back into line by throwing in scary sounding words like white nationalism, neo Nazism, disinformation, conspiracy theories to try and persuade women that they have to be wage slaves. That women should be in the workforce and they should be, outside of the home rather than inside the home. She pulls up some actual white nationalists, yada yada. Don't become a trad wife, girls. You might accidentally become a Nazi. I feel like that's a little more opinionated. We'll skip that. But what is she really asking here? She's demanding women go out and compete with men. When these women are saying that they don't want to be breadwinners and want to cooperate with men instead. They want traditional relationships, and Sakar's position depends on women submitting to the modern life, which Sakar herself admits sucks. Sakar finishes the video by saying, work won't set women free. Neither will being ruled by men. So what are the practical options for women then? And what does freedom even mean in this sentence? Sakar presents a fantastical scenario that we should envision of an ill-defined and idealistic woo-woo future in which women are free to have families, but also free not to work, and are also free not to be financially dependent on their husbands. This, side by side with the goal to suggest that the trad housewives are idealizing a previous culture, which at least actually existed. How does this actually translate into what real women in the real world actually want? The answer, of course, is that it doesn't. Most women don't want a kind of hedonistic isolation and eternal grind that Sakar unwittingly proposes. Women can't have it all. And that's the thing that Sakar is too trapped in her own ideology to accept.
Mm-hmm.
So these women, meaning traditional housewives, they actually want to belong to something more important than themselves and have people who depend on them. They want to be part of a family. To achieve this, the traditional wives, the trad wives, have realized that cooperating with men is the key to both sexes getting what they want. So, women, we have a choice. Do you want to be
No. Hold up. You missed a key word.
Okay,
So
let's go back.
modern women have a choice.
Right. So modern
women.
You have a choice. Do you want to be a replaceable corporate drone, just another number working on, somebody else's fortune? Or do you
Employee
want
number 5672, because that's what you are. Employee number 5672, right? That if
or
you
do you want to
croak, they're going to replace you in 2 weeks.
you don't even have to croak. You could just say the wrong
I
word,
was
be
I
canceled,
was
and now
being
you've been
I was
replaced
being hyperbolic, but you're right. They can fire you for whatever reason.
for any reason. Yes. Or do you want to be loved and relied upon, ladies?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really good question, because ultimately we all want to find a mate. Nobody wants to be alone. You want to
Nobody
find
wants to
that
be
life
alone.
partner who just understands you, and you don't have to spend your life explaining who you are, explaining yourself, explaining your jokes. So, if that means that you fall into the role of being a housewife, then I welcome
There's
it.
nothing
Open
wrong with
arms.
that. There's nothing wrong
Open
with that.
arms, because
But let me
again
ask you
and
this,
again,
though.
but hang on, because again and again women have proved it's not easy being a homemaker. It's not easy being in the house. It is a job. It's a
It
never
is.
ending job, because your children are there all the time, the house is there all the time. But if that's where your passion is, that's where you're going to be happy, then there's nothing wrong with that.
However, it's a more fulfilling job than chasing after the corporate ladder.
Right.
Because every female that's out there who's chasing after their career, they think that
Mhm,
they're going to be a CEO, right? They think they're going to be a boss babe or whatever. And for the reality is, you're mediocre just like most men are, right?
mhm.
We're mediocre. We're not CEO level status. And so you're going to get into the mundane routine of the job, And you're going to realize, man, I've been here 10, 20 years and I haven't gone anywhere. And then you come home to an empty home. You
Right.
know, I hate to say it, but working sucks. I keep saying that. I don't understand what this whole like, oh, I want to be a boss babe. I'm like, why? Work sucks.
Right.
And it's like, oh, but it's because it's my career. It's my, and that's the confluted. Oh, I hate that when they're like, oh, it's my career. It's my career.
Hmm.
Sorry, it's a job. Unless you move up unless you're moving up the ladder, or even honestly, when somebody asks me what's a career is when you work for yourself, right? When you're an
Hmm.
entrepreneur, right? That's a career. That's where you build something ground up and you're working and it's sustaining, and that's a career.
That's
You
when
as
you're
just an
using
employee,
years to become an
mm-hmm,
electrician, to be a licensed
right,
electrician, or put it, learning that trade and actually building up something for yourself.
right. As an employee, that's just a job. That's not a
Mhm.
career. That's a job. If you're not growing, that's not a career. It's a job. Stop saying that. Stop lying to yourself with that shit. Because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, you're not doing anything with yourself.
Mhm. The practical option is to honor the family and have the family guide to select the right husband, right?
Yes, and this is why I keep telling Lynn, because
Hmm.
Lynn's the only one of us that has a daughter, and I keep telling her, I'm like, listen, when you raise your daughter, I know me looking the inside out, I really don't have a daughter, but I'm like, listen, when you raise your daughter, you gotta raise her to want to stay home. When
Hmm.
you raise your son, you gotta raise him to want to leave the house. Because if you raise your daughter to want to leave the house, she's gonna be part of the streets, man. And that's
Hmm.
that's not what you want. You do not want your daughter to be out in the streets. So, ladies, that's all I can say is like if you have a daughter, raise her to want to be a homebody, raise her to want to be home. That's her kingdom. And then raise your boys not to be here 30 years old. Because I'm raising my boys like, yo, 18, you're out of here. They're
Hmm.
like, oh, but what if you? I don't care. 18, you're out of here. It's like I'm not having a 30-year-old in the basement playing video games.
Hmm.
That's not what I'm having. But it's okay to have a 30-year-old, daughter still at home, you know, still trying to find the right one, right?
Hmm.
You see how the connotations. It's okay to have the daughter at home, but it's not okay to have the son at home because at the end of the day, you're like he's a man. He has to go man up, right? So
And
that's
just to kind of reiterate or to support your argument there, our guest last week, she said it too. She was like, being raised by a single dad, um, he pushed her and he like, planted that seed of, you're going to be a wife. You're going
mm,
to find that person who is going to be with you the rest of your life kind of thing. You need to
hmm
learn how to contribute to a household.
yeah, and it's actually a good. I'm glad that she came on board, and the door's always open for her to come back
Mhm.
because where we say that most men these days are being raised by a single mother, and the mother is raising their boys for the guy that she thinks she wants,
Mhm.
which is that nice guy gentleman, but that's not what she wants. She wants the bad boy and the assertive guy, right? Trust me, most of the fathers who made those young boys are the bad guy, right? The asshole who dipped and left, right?
Mhm.
So that's what she was attracted to. But then she ends up raising her son to be the ideal guy she thinks she wants, right?
Mhm.
And this is why a lot of these guys are broken because they're being raised, with this feminist lie, and they're very feminine, right?
Yeah.
And where she was raised to be, he raised her to be the wife that he wanted,
Mhm.
right? And so I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. And that's why I'm like, we should have further discussions and all that. But he raised her to be homely. He raised her to be the wife he wanted
Mhm.
as a
Made
single
sure
dad,
she
right?
was, she had it in her to get up and clean her house. Made sure she had it in
Mm-hmm.
her to, cook a meal and just be responsible. And I definitely just realized that my stove is on. Oh no, you burnt the rice.
Damn, it's burning her house down 2 times. Brr, 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 brr. Where's the soundboard? She's doing it twice, fellas. It's crazy. So while we do that, let me see if I can pull up the comments up here. Fuzz said, I follow Dave Ramsey for finance. I don't know who Dave Ramsey is, but I'm gonna take a look. That's kind of cool. Fuzz said the still has been on since 4 p.m. Yes, sir. No, probably sooner, probably before that, because who knows what she was doing. Fuzz also said my employee number is 0562. Shout out to all your employee numbers. Let's drive to have a business with our name on it and not be an employee number anymore, right? Let's all strive to be entrepreneurs. Because like I say over and over again, unless you're working for yourself, you're not chasing after a career, man. The practical option is to honor the family and have the family guide to select the right husband. Yeah, and honestly, I like the whole concept of arranged marriages. I think that any culture that embraces that, as you can see, the marriages last a hell of a lot longer. Why? Because you're getting the input from family, right? Your parents, your siblings, your friends, like they're all weeding them out. And people are, arranged marriages get a very bad connotation because they're like, oh, this is the person that it's picked, and you're stuck with that person. No, it's not like that. They got headshots, and they got like five potential candidates, and it's almost like a job interview. But it's your family who knows you the best, right? They're weeding you out. They're or weeding them out. They're like, look, they don't have the right. You guys don't have the right chemistry, or she doesn't have the right personality. You know, that's strong. That's very strong to know that the people who love you, the people who have your best interest in mind, are also selecting the person that you're gonna, be with the rest of your life. So there is something there with arranged marriages, and it's sad that once again, with the feminist lie and modern culture, um,
It has a
arranged
negative
marriages are
connotation.
has a
Yeah,
negative connotation. Exactly.
mhm. When in reality, as a mom of a daughter, I would love to choose my daughter's husband.
Right. One thing I would tell you too is when she's like, meet the family, see the
Hmm.
family, see how the family dynamics is, because that family dynamics is what your that potential boyfriend or girlfriend, that's what they were raised in.
Hmm.
So when you see that dynamics, you see like fellas, if you're dating, if you're thinking that the girl you're dating is the one, see how her mother acts with the father. Is the
Hmm.
father even in the picture, right? Was there a sense of hostility being, bred into her, or raised into her, where now she just instinctively, right, hates all men, right? Because the father dipped, right? So those are the kind of things that you gotta analyze and you gotta see. I know it sounds crazy, but yeah, meet the parents. You know, how's her relationship with the dad? How's his relationship with the mom? Right? Those are the kind of things you got to see. Because ladies, if you see this guy and he has no respect for his mom, what makes you think he's going to respect you?
Will never respect you. Never.
So those are the kind of things that, like, I wish we could get back to it as a society. I wish we could get back to that. I wish we could get back to having religion, in our homes.
Hmm.
Like Christianity is a joke, and it's a joke because all the, the jokes in modern day pop culture is on Christianity. It's not on Muslim, right? Because they know that they're going to get their heads taken off if they make fun of Muslim, right? But Christianity, it's a running joke. Um, what happened?
No, I thought about that. I was like, oh shit, there are like religions that people don't talk about. It's like, oh.
Right, right. You can't make fun of being Jewish, right?
Hmm.
You can't make fun of Islam. You can't make fun of any of that.
Hmm.
So I wish that, and it sucks because I look at the modern church, I look at Christianity, and maybe that's another reason why I can't go back to church, is that I feel like I feel like Christianity simped out to modern culture,
Hmm.
and it's sad because
Well,
it's
that's a common misconception. A lot of people who believe that have not been to church in ages. I'm just
yeah. There's a lot of things.
saying.
Listen, be congruent. Be congruent.
Hmm.
If you say you believe in Christianity and you are religious, then you need to break out that Bible, because I know that Bible says that the woman has to
Right.
submit to her man. And there's
That's
a
very
lot of things that conflicts the Bible. So I'm just saying, Christianity, you guys got to step up. You're losing this, and you're losing it to the modern society. You're losing it.
true. Hmm.
Once again, I said it before, there's a lot of Satanism, ideologies floating around, and you
And
want to be the saving grace?
that's socially acceptable.
right. And
Mhm.
Christian, if Christianity is a saving grace, then you got to step
Yeah.
up, man.
I have a girlfriend who, I follow her on social media, and she's like really the only person I know that posts like religious posts. And like I tell her, like, I'm so proud of her that she doesn't care. Like, she puts up what she
Hmm.
believes. She's not worried about trying to fit in and this and that. Like, she's married, they're having their children now, and she is holding up her beliefs.
Hmm. And it's funny too because I don't know what it was.
I just want to see
It
my
was
rice. I'll show you guys my
I
rice. Look,
think
look.
oh
It's
that
nice
looked
and
good. What is
fluffy.
that? Jasmine
I
rice?
didn't burn it,
Hmm.
just
You
a
put
little.
a little salt and lime on that. Make that
Mm,
chipotle rice.
it's good.
So it's funny that we bring up the Bible because once again modern women out here. I saw trending. I think it was on Twitter. I think it was either Twitter or Instagram because those are the two that I'm on. Where they were like, "I didn't come from your ribs," and that was the thing that was trending
Mhm.
because that's the story of Adam and Eve, right? That
Right.
Adam came first and then took his rib and made Eve. So that was the whole thing that was trending. It was like, I didn't come from your ribs, right? Just that defiance. So
Mhm.
I'm sorry, you can't be a modern day feminist and then also say you're religious because now you're picking and choosing what you want to follow in religion. So it doesn't work that way. Either you're religious and you follow it all to a T,
Mhm.
everything that says in there, because there's some good passage that I'll be like, well, let me bring this one up.
And honestly, it's not about following it to a T. It's like if you're going to have an opinion about something, learn about it. Learn about it. If you want to have an opinion about this religion or that religion, read the Bible, read the Quran, read what the actual beliefs are, and I mean, in general, if you have any topic that you want to have an opinion on, learn for yourself. And that's the power of, our cell phones being with us 24/7, is that anything that we really want to learn about, we can learn about. And
Yeah.
we just need to learn to differentiate the opinionated stuff with the facts.
It's so sad. It's so sad because in the 90s, right, I was a big Star Trek fan, right? And I was watching all these Star Trek shows. And this device that we're talking on, I'm using right now, was on
Mhm,
Star Trek. And I was like, man, I don't know if I'm ever going to see a device like that in my lifetime. And sure enough, it's right here. And
mhm,
instead of us using it to, like, we should be a society that's so much smarter because we have everything in our hands, right?
mhm,
We got it. Not only do we have it in written text, we got it in video format. Like, there's no excuse for you not knowing anything because you could go on YouTube and find a dozen videos on it, right? You can
mhm.
find this free stuff, all knowledge, abundance of knowledge, and yet society is becoming dumber. I don't like. I don't get it. I don't get it. We should be moving forward into Star Trek, not into Idiocracy. You know that movie Idiocracy?
Yes, I know
That's literally
that
where
one.
we're going.
Yes.
That's literally where society is going instead of
Mhm,
moving towards that future where our technology is aiding us to be smarter and stronger. And it's funny because they keep saying like the world's small and because of technology it's even smaller now, right?
mhm.
But is it? Because it just seems like we're being more like self-centered and we're shunning everything else, and so it's like the world seems bigger now because you don't know your neighbors, you don't know your own town, you don't know nothing. And I'm like, man, I don't know, I feel like back in the day things were a lot better when you had to pick up the phone and call your buddy, right?
Right.
It's like we have instant communication, but it was like picking up the phone, you knew he was going to answer and be like, yo, what are you
I mean,
doing? I
if
don't
he
know, what
was
are you doing?
home, he was going to answer. Otherwise, he would leave him a message. He would get back to
For
you.
the most
That
part,
was
though,
quick.
if I called and he was there, it was on, we were talking, laughing, whatever, and then we're like, yo, let's go hang out. All right, let's go hang out. But
Mhm,
now it's like, no, I don't have time for that. It's like,
right.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like as a kid of the '90s, I feel like the '90s was so much better. So much, and then you had diversity every day. Look at '90s television. It was diversity everywhere.
Mhm.
It didn't have to be so on the nose like modern day TV.
Right. It doesn't have to be the topic of the show for it to be there.
Hmm.
Right now in modern, television, it's the topic of the show.
Yeah, and it's funny too because I was watching Chris Rock and he was like, they were like, oh, I look at a commercial. Of course, he was making fun of white people, and they were like, you see every commercial, and there's no more white families. The white family is getting eradicated. He's like, there's no more black families either. It's
Mhm.
like everybody got to be mixed families. He's like, you're gonna see some white chick dating a armadillo or something because that's how they just want to so diverse, right? And so he's right though. He's right though because think about those family shows back in the day, like Family Matters, right? He was a black dad who was also a cop, mind you.
Mhm.
That's like a big taboo, right? He was a black dad that was a cop, and he had his kids there. He had his own home, and like that to me, growing up on shows like that, I was like, man, we could do anything.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because when your guest was talking, her father instilled in her, not knowingly, but he instilled in her that victim narrative, right? He was
Mhm.
like, "You're a black woman. You're black and you're a woman. You have two things against you."
Right.
Where I don't think Ma told us any of that stuff. I mean, do you remember any of that? I don't.
Not at all. Not at all. To be honest, it was a culture shock. When I moved I moved around a lot. In middle school, she moved me around to like four different school districts, and when I
Hmm.
ended up in like what's considered the city out here, I ended up in like Middletown schools. It was a culture shock for me. I was like, holy crap, there's so many minorities here. Like, wait a minute, Lynn, you are one of them. Like, you're okay, you fit in here.
Yeah, that's why I keep saying. Like, I was raised white. Like, the only few Hispanics that were in my school, I knew them all. They were
Mhm.
all my friends, right? They're like, "Oh, you're like me." Uh,
Yep.
right? It was like it is what it is, but I appreciate it because I have such a diverse palette
Mhm.
that I wouldn't have it any other way. I didn't want to be so narrow minded. And don't get me wrong, every culture, every race out there has beautiful culture, right?
Mhm.
When you dive into that, I
Yeah.
love diving into it. Eating the food, hearing the music, seeing the art, just hearing the history of it. It's just amazing. But I like that I'm diverse on all of that, and I
Mhm.
have a tolerance and a palate for all of it, right? So it's like I don't know. I'm blessed in the sense that our mother wasn't that way. Like she didn't see that color,
Mhm.
and I think it's because she was raised in the inner city. So I guess she saw everything. I don't know. I never saw that. Like ma raised me, and she was like, "Get into computers. If you want to make it in life, get into computers. You can do it." And I was
Mhm.
like, "All right, I'm gonna go do it." Ma said, "There's money there. I'm gonna go do it." And sure enough, there's money there. So, and I tell that to my kids. I was like, the one thing Grandma kept telling me, I'm gonna tell you, but I don't tell them about the color of their skin. I'm not saying, oh, you're gonna be oppressed because of the color of your skin. That's just giving your kids like a ball and chain on them already.
Mhm.
I don't understand that mindset. And I know they're like, oh, that black parents have to tell the kids to talk. I'm like, all parents have to tell the kids to talk. Like, if
Absolutely.
you get pulled over by the police, be respectful.
Don't be an
That's the
idiot.
talk.
Be respectful. Yes.
Right. Right. Like, I don't understand why they're just making it like,
Yeah. But you know what?
but
That
it,
also plays into our culture in general because these people who aren't respectful towards authority, they're also not respectful towards their own parents.
yes.
Their
And that's
parents did not
exactly what I was
establish
saying.
that when they were
Right.
young.
That's what I was saying just a few clips earlier. It was like, see how they interact with the parents.
Mhm.
If you're a fella and you're dancing, you're dating, not dancing, if you're dating a shorty, see how she is with her dad.
Mhm.
Or if the dad's not there, see how the mom is. See if the mom's always bashing men
Mhm.
because that's what she was raised in. And the vice versa, ladies, see how he treats his mom,
Mhm.
right? See how he treats his mom and see the relationship, with the dad. And if the dad's not there, see how the mom talks about, women and guys and all that. It's like those are their most influential people as their parents, right?
Mhm.
As much as we try to like say, I'm stepping away and I'm gonna define my own self, you got to realize that your parents' morals are your morals. That's your baseline, right?
So I'm gonna pull up Fuzz's comment here. He says, "Your thoughts on Puerto Rico beating Dominican Republic at the World Baseball Classic?"
I didn't even know that.
First
I don't follow
off,
baseball like that.
hey, the Boricuan, I like that. It's so funny. So in my household, like my children, they're Dominican, like from their father's side. And in my home, I'm like very like, oh, I love Puerto Rico, like hey. And so my daughter, she's kind of like gravitating towards her Dominican side. Like she loves the culture. She's learning from her aunts and her grandmother, and like she's learning how to be in the kitchen and like some of those really traditional values that a lot of Dominican women have. And so she has like this huge Dominican flag in her bedroom. Like you walk in, it's like boom, Dominican
Mm,
flag.
right
So
there.
I was in her room and I was feeling kind of salty. Like, damn, where's the Puerto Rican flag? But that's just a little backstory here with the whole like Puerto Rico DR thing. So Fuzz also says that Dominican Republic's team was filled with all stars. Um,
Mm,
and from the clip that I brought up here, did I bring up the clip yet? I did a quick search. So it says that in the end, it was Puerto Rico that earned a bid into the quarterfinals of the 2023 World Baseball Classic, outdueling
nice.
Star 5-2 and setting up a date with Pool C winner Mexico on Friday. So, damn, I mean, right here, the stats show me that they won 5-2. So what were your All Stars doing? Did they bring their A game,
Hmm.
or do they have to, go back to practicing and see what they could do under pressure next year? I don't know. What do you think, Ray?
A lot of was it a lot of baseball players come out of what the DR and Cuba, right? So
Yeah,
it's actually
a lot of them are
it's cool.
Latinos.
It's good to see Puerto Rico being put on the map. But you
Mhm.
know what? That has been going a lot lately,
We have
and this is
boxers. Hang on. Puerto
thanks
Rico, we have boxers.
to Bad Bunny, right? Bad Bunny was like the number one artist in
Yeah.
the world, and he's Puerto Rican, right? So
Mhm.
he's been putting a lot of awareness to Puerto Rico, and shout out to Bad Bunny because he also has tie in with the WWE, right? So now there's gonna be a live the next not the next one. I think the next one is WrestleMania, but the one after that is gonna be in Puerto Rico. So I was
Mhm.
like, wow, that's really cool, and it's gonna be hosted by Bad Bunny. So that's actually kind of cool that we're starting to see, Puerto Rico, being put on the map.
Mhm.
But once again,
The
why are we
reggaeton
spending
is
so
from
much
Carolina.
money?
Learned
Once
that from
again,
Bad
why
Bunny.
why are we spending so much money on Ukraine when we have struggling territories, right? Like, why not help out Puerto Rico? They're still struggling after that hurricane. Like,
Mhm.
why are we not, why are we funneling some money out there? St. Thomas, right?
Absolutely.
Like, why are we spending so much on freaking Ukraine,
On
man?
foreigners. On foreigners. It's like
And mind you,
you're supposed to make sure that you're at good standing before you can lend out a hand.
yeah,
We're not.
and
Our government does not make that a priority.
World War III is around the corner. We know this because
Mhm.
I mean, look at the news that just happened. What was it the Russian plane hit the U.S. drone, right? And the footage was released, and you see the drone flying, you see the plane, the jet hitting it, and it went down and all that. So here we have U.S. drone, Russian plane. We're already in conflict, and
Yeah.
I'm like, why? Why are we fighting another war that's so far from our own front door? Well, we got so much going on here in the States that we need to fix. It's like that's one thing that I don't know. I don't know. I have no answers for it.
All right. So we are actually gonna cut the show a little short today. So I guess this is a good place to end it, guys. Thank you so much again for tuning in, for joining in the discussion, and just always giving us content. Right? Last
So
thoughts?
Fuzz said last comment. Fuzz said elites are broke. The answer is war, and
Mm.
maybe that makes sense. Maybe
War
that
brings
makes
money.
sense.
Yeah.
But we got to figure out us as the people. We got to figure out how to be humanitarians and make money off of it. I mean, Mr. Beast figured it out, right? He's out here giving out money. He's making content off it, and he's still making his paper, and he's helping people. Now,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, is he helping people for the likes? That's part of the business model. So on a bigger scale, right, we got to figure out how to make peace profitable because these endless wars, it's just tiring. And
I
I'll be
like
damned if my boys are going to go fight in that war. Like I will be the one that takes them and we leave the country in a
that.
heartbeat. And me, that having that patriotic heart, I served my time. I just don't believe in those values anymore. And I'm sorry. I wouldn't want my boys dying for that.
Mhm.
So
I wrote that up there. I like that. Make peace profitable.
make
Yes.
peace profitable because it's listen. There is no better feeling out here than helping people while getting paid to do it.
Hmm.
I'm just saying. And Mr. Beast did it. Yo, good shout out to Mr. Beast because he's out here doing that. He's donating. He's giving people things. He's putting a smile on people's faces, and he's making his paper for that. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Let's do more of that. I want to see more content like that. I want to turn on the news and I want to see all that feel good news. I'm tired of seeing Twitter filled with such hatred. And that's one thing I've been calling people out on. I'm like, why are you feeling the decisive, divisiveness that's among us? Be better. And I keep telling people that. Be better.
Yep. Let's
So
do better.
let's do
It's
better.
2023, and we have to hold on to that positivity. Because all we have is tomorrow. Where we
Exactly.
can we can talk until we're blue in the faces about all the problems, all the issues, all the division. But the fact is, we need to do better.
We can do
Embrace
better. Let's take
positivity. Embrace
action and
the
be better.
winners.
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
we love you
All right.
guys.
Peace. Have a good weekend.
Weekend. Yeah.